I think the blame game is not over yet in America about the assassination attempt on Trump. Uh, Remember that America is a land where attacks on political figures are fairly routine. Four American presidents killed: Lincoln, Garfield, JFK, and McKinley. Uh, Five American presidents were the victims of attempted assassinations: Andrew Jackson, FDR, Ford, Truman, Reagan, by John Hinckley, and of course the assassination of Martin Luther King. And the moment the attempt was made, Biden was delayed, but Farage came out with his lines about the rhetoric of the liberal left. Newt Gingrich also blamed the left, and yet, although he'd made a small donation to a Democrat cause, the shooter seems to have been a card-carrying member of the Republican Party. So, scotching that particular approach to the narrative, it's almost like the Monty Python sketch where Marty Feldman, I think, goes in and wants the expurgated version of a book rather than the one without the gannet, and John Cleese tears up the volume. Uh, you get what you've got, and you've got to recognise that America has a tradition of violence, just like other countries. We could look over at the moment at Israel, which has a tradition of violence. The failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, significantly one of the key swing states, one of the states where key where key voters are being courted by both sides. What is this going to do to the actual election itself? I think it's going to catapult Donald Trump into power because there's a very small number of seats, there's a very small number of votes which either side needs, and this is in the battleground. And equally, the picture of Donald Trump with his fist in the air saying, "Fight, fight, fight," I think that's more than likely to stimulate voters to vote for him in this polarized atmosphere. And it serves as a stark reminder of the potential for political discourse to devolve into violence. And it has resonance elsewhere, in Pakistan, in Israel. But let's just focus on Israel for a moment, particularly with the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995 by the religious ultra-nationalist opposed to the Oslo Accords. And the parallels there are significant because at the time, Netanyahu was rabble-rousing, and ubiquitous blame was placed on Netanyahu's shoulders, suggesting that dissatisfaction would persist regardless of leadership. The Jerusalem landscape is dotted with memorials of past violence, from the bombing of the King David Hotel by Jewish terrorists in 1946, Jewish terrorists who included a future prime minister, to the Arab car bomb attack on the Jewish National Fund in 1948. These memorials underscore the destructive potential of political extremism and the historical cycle of violence now continued in Gaza. And this recent Trump assassination attempt almost certainly reignites the debate about the role of incendiary rhetoric, not only in America but across the world, in fueling violence. Senator J.D. Vance's attribution of the attempt on Trump to the Biden campaign's rhetoric, and the way the Biden campaign has removed all its posters and its intended TV slots. It exemplifies the politicization of the incident and the knock-on effect. This echoes the aftermath of Rabin's assassination almost directly, where the then opposition leader Netanyahu faced direct accusations of incitement due to his involvement in rallies depicting Yitzhak Rabin as a traitor. So the tragic history of political violence in Israel serves as a cautionary tale and is mirrored by the political violence in America. The hope is that America can recognize the peril of its hyper-partisan moment and pull back from the brink. The hope is that Trump can lead that call for unity, and that's certainly the impression that we're getting. Somebody says, what do I mean by the idea that Trump has had a change of heart? This is the change of heart, that instead of pursuing division, Trump is going to stand up and be presidential. Because Biden was late. Trump is going to do. So what is Biden's failure? Biden's failure is age. That's it. That's it. And it's been exploited. It was exploited in the last election with Trump wagging his finger saying, Sleepy Joe. And now it's exploited again. And this time with much greater impact, because Biden is forgetting his lines and is wobbly on the world stage. And because the world stage has become a more dangerous, isolated and exposed place. Looking over from America to Israel, it's time to foster a more civil and constructive political discourse, and then to export that back to Israel. Because what is happening now in Israel is just the aftermath of the Yitzhak Rabin assassination. Unless decisive action is taken, these events don't go away, and the impact on the national psyche doesn't go away. And, 20 years, 25 years, the impact of the assassination of Rabin is still felt. And Netanyahu is in power. It's about the national psyche rather than the individual careers of politicians. And the national psyche is being sucked down the drain in America. I think we're seeing elements of this in the UK. It's certainly come to fruition in Israel. Pakistan is another example. Violence begets violence.